Hello, I'm Hansi from Like Guardian and you're watching RockLine TV.
Welcome back to Slovenia.
Great to be here.
After quite a few years back in Ljubljana, actually, you played in Tolmin Metal Camp
Yes.
a few years back, but again, back in Ljubljana, so welcome. You've just released a new album. So far it's been really well received, right?
I would say
from
so,
what I
yeah.
gather so far.
It gets close to overwhelming. We are very satisfied and you can see that a lot of people consider it a sort of all-time Blind Guardian favorite already, even though it's just, as you said, a few months old. But I believe people are easily aware of the potential of the album, so we're quite satisfied. You cannot please everyone, that's a logical thing as well, but the reactions are mainly very positive.
I think that's mainly because of two things. I have to be honest, I didn't really kind of like the album at first, but it's a grower. Was that your intention? I mean, the songs are really complex, but they have all the elements, trademarks of Blind Guardian. It's the folky stuff, Twilight of the Gods is really old school, flashy song, and of course the orchestral pieces.
It seems to be a grower to many people, so you're not alone on that one. It was not our intention. We just go straight ahead and come up with whatever is getting into our minds and needs to be expressed somehow. And we don't make a big difference between straightforward metal songs or orchestrated songs. Of course, in a certain way during production you then treat things into a certain direction. But in general, we just have to be satisfied with what we're working on, and if we have a handful of good songs which we consider to be potentially worth producing an album, we started an album production. We've had the idea of making that again a bridge to the orchestral album, and this is when a maximum of orchestration came in.
Yeah. Like you said, I mean, every album so far, at least since I don't know, not only Middle Earth, has been kind of a step forward to your orchestra album.
And this is also when we started working on it. So there is a logical continuation in this, as well as in the production of this orchestral album. Still, we don't see such a big difference between what we've done in the early 90s, if to say so, Tales from the Twilight World or Somewhere Far Beyond, or what we're doing nowadays. Even then, we were intending to involve classical or folkloristic.
Theater of Pain, right, was one of the first songs.
Best example, yes.
Cool. We touched on this subject, so do you have a time frame for this album, Orchestral? I know it's been a long time in the making.
I've had so many time frames already.
But if I'm not mistaken, you're working with a German composer?
No, with a German author. We're intending to work. Markus Heitz, who is famous for his story about dwarfs. He's going to do the storyboard for it, but in terms of music, we do everything on our own, and it's more or less the same production team we've worked with for the last 15 years.
If I understood correctly, this is going to be just you and the orchestra, right?
The first step, yes. I doubt that we're going to change that because it took so long already and we did a lot of recordings. But there is an idea to involve the band as well, which you could do with the stuff. We either do that in a kind of live situation first, or we even dare to do this album for a second run and then with the band. But the first step would be I singing and the orchestra playing.
Sounds interesting.
It is. The song At the Edge of Time is one of those songs which were originally intended to be part of the orchestra project, but then we came up with some ideas for heavy instrumentation, and so it ended up on this album. And the same was with Wheel of Time on the last album, which I considered to be more a heavy orientated song, and therefore Andre started designing distorted guitars to be involved.
It probably really helps not only with this orchestral album that's coming up, but probably with all albums you've done so far, that you have your own studio, right? You're not limited time-wise.
We are not limited, and it's like exploring the studio and exploring instruments. That's how it started, even with Theatre of Pain. Lord of the Rings, the orchestral part was more natural expression, but whatever we did ever since Somewhere Far Beyond is adapted to the simple fact that we have a studio. And the studio has grown over the years. When we started in 1990, it was basically a rehearsal room with some analog material, and we always improved that a little bit. And nowadays it's a professional studio, which, you know, we do not even use for songwriting so much, because nowadays with computers and with hard disk recording, you can do everything at home. So it's not even necessary nowadays to have that stuff, but the experience we have gained over the years is certainly helpful.
I've read somewhere a while ago that while you were recording Follow the Blind, you listened to Testament and Forbidden and American Thrash and Power Metal. What are you listening now when you're recording Beyond the Red Mirror?
It's different. It's still the same stuff from the old days, but also modern stuff. I like the Babel album from Mumford & Sons, for example. Whatever. I mean, it really, there are no boundaries. I mean, it's whatever, you know, someone likes. Magnus probably is the one most into nowadays metal. Andre and I are a little more old school. There's so much music which has an influence or an impact, but it's not like in the old days that a certain genre is an inspiration. As you said, Testament, Forbidden, that was especially for Markus and Andre when we did Follow the Blind, and Tom as well, a strong influence, very strong influence.
Also on the new album, I think this is the first time from Blind Guardian you kind of touched on your past, because the story on Beyond the Red Mirror is a continuation of Imaginations from the Other Side. I'm not sure if my information is right, but I think what sparked this continuation of this story is you reading Stephen King's Doctor Sleep, right?
Yeah. But in first case it was the music which created that link. If you listen to a song like The Ninth Wave, for example, which has been the last song we composed for the album, there are links, strong ties musically to Imaginations, the song. And this all made me, you know, thinking about a story related to Imaginations. But yeah, the idea of Stephen King revisiting one of the protagonists of his own stories, I like that a lot, and I played around with that.
Yeah, you used also, I'm not sure if for the first time, but in this capacity you used 3 choirs and 2 orchestras, right?
Yeah, but they do not perform together, so it was more a question of schedules and a question what we demanded in certain parts. The only moment, at least the choirs are performing together, is the introduction of the Ninth Wave, which needs such, you know, huge momentum. There we asked all of the choirs to do that particular part.
Well, another interesting thing about the new album, there's a bonus track on the special edition called Doom, right? Which kind of hints that this story isn't really over yet, right?
Yeah, that's a good coincidence. I mean, the story can be seen as, you know, an attempt to tell a sci-fi Arthurian epic quest story. Like, you know, someone is on his quest for the Holy Grail, to say so. And since I then decided that, you know, the boy is considered to be Arthur, it was obvious for me that there needed to be an open end. And when we switched Doom into the storyboard, it just fitted perfectly well. It kept it open, and, you know, I don't think that we necessarily have to wait another 20 years, but I do have some ideas for the continuation. The problem could be the direction the music is going to take after the orchestral album, because then we are basically free to do whatever we want to do, and if the music talks a different language, then I can't continue into that direction. Otherwise, you know, I will find my chance.
But actually, the Beyond Red Mirror is not fully a conceptual album, right? Like Nightfall in Middle Earth was.
It is. It is. It is.
All the songs linked
All
together.
songs are included, and they define the two different worlds and different aspects and moments. And the perspective, as I do in many of my lyrics, is changing rapidly and quickly. So for the listener, it sometimes might be difficult to judge who's talking, you know.
Yeah.
And it's also an inspiration received by nowadays media, you know, by the mass information, the major amount of information you have, and there's no chance to filter anything. And this was my idea for the storyboard as well, you know. I try to deliver as much input as possible, but with different ideas about who's talking and whose goals, you know, have been featured in a particular moment. So it's also a question about what is right and wrong, you know, and how much that depends on the perspective.
Have you ever been thinking, I don't know, of doing? I know you're a fan of Stephen King. When I was reading, I know his stuff like The Stand or The Dark Tower, I always imagined Blind Guardian music playing with it. Have you ever, I don't know, thought of doing something like you did with Tolkien?
No,
I know you've done Stephen King songs
Yes.
in the past.
As an inspiration, it's great, but you know, to do straightforward storytelling in terms of a whole album, I would not do that nowadays. If that's the case, you know, you would have to work with the author directly, like we do on the Orchestral project, or I would have to come up with my own stories. These are the two options I see for the future. I must dream, but I would not go and do a complete concept for the Dark Tower, for example.
Okay, I'm getting to the end slowly. Maybe two obvious questions, but I think fans really want to hear that. First, is there maybe a Blind Guardian open air festival sometime in the future?
We would love to do. The best option for us could be the orchestral album, because then we could easily fill 3 nights in a row with different music. We could, you know, do the regular heavy metal set. We could do a sort of unplugged whatever, and an orchestral performance. So this could be a very good option. Other than that, it's not necessary for us to do so.
Yeah.
There must be an occasion.
Like it was before, right?
Yeah.
And the second obvious question, I know you get nagged a lot about that, obviously, Demons and Wizards. Is there...
Demons and Wizards is always an option, but John is slowly recovering at the moment, and his main focus again will be on Iced Earth, while I'm still stuck in live recordings for the Blind Guardian live album and the orchestral album. So I don't see that happening before the end of 2017, because we have engagements up to that moment already. So we want to do, and we have spoken about it several times. It's not easy to accomplish, it seems.
Yeah.
There will be at least 12 years in
Very
between.
busy.
We are both busy, and we both, you know, like our main jobs, but we also would love to do so. But I mean, there are limits, and if I'm at home for 2 months and then have to consider, you know, how to maintain the Demons and Wizards album, and the same with John, of course, it's impossible.
Yeah.
But we will do so one day.
You mentioned the live album. Do you have a time frame for that?
I would guess it's going to be released in 2016, but I cannot tell you exactly when. What we are planning is doing the mixing in summer already, but that would just include the European dates and maybe Asia and Australia, but we also do Northern and Southern America, and we may do something with that material as well. So somewhere in 2016 is very realistic, I would say.
Look forward to hearing it. Okay. So, final, if you have a question for many, a message for many Slovenian fans.
Yeah. Hey, my friends, I hope you enjoy a great show today. If you missed it, bad luck. It's always a pleasure to be in Slovenia, and Ljubljana is a beautiful city, and hope to see you there next time. Bye.